Welcome back, friends. Lost Scarf here. It's time for the vlog, and let's just do this thing. So, things that are going on right now. Scarf is just preparing for a job interview in Pure Water. Not going to get the job, but the reason why is the guy I'm going up against for this job is literally the guy writing the test questions for the state. Yeah, I'm going to beat that guy. Yeah, that's going to happen. Now, when you know things like that, all you can do is just do a good showing, but also see if you can still argue your way in a different way. Because of what's happening, like, this is essentially, I'm going to go there and try to show how smart I am so they consider me for the future for a couple reasons. One is, at some point, they're going to hire operators. Right now, I'm doing an interview for the supervisor of Pure Water in the city, and I'm not going to get it. It's going to be the other guy because he's amazing. But in a couple years, they're going to hire operators for Pure Water, so they'll know me, and if I do a good impression, then they'll remember me for later, and maybe that'll add up to getting me in if I decide to become a Pure Water operator. I don't know, because there's still things going on with regular water where I might be able to become a supervisor there. But there's a thing I want to try to argue for. I'm going to try to argue it because I'm going to try to argue that, okay, sure, you're going to hire him. Why not have two supervisors? Because in wastewater, there's 3 supervisors. In clean water, there's 2. So why not also have 2 in pure water? I'm going to make that argument at the interview. I'm like, hey, here are the things that I can bring to the table. Just need to open up a second position for that. That's the argument I'm going to make. Because that's the only angle I can make. When you know you can't possibly get the job, try to make an angle where they still consider you maybe. And the things I'm going to do to argue for me to get in there is just what are my positives, like what am I good at, and what are the things I've done, and then ideas I have. And so I brainstormed ideas. Like, I'm going to go in there, like, I like education and learning, so I've actually written a guidebook for trainees in water, or it's almost done. It's not finished yet, but I've been writing it. And it's there to just, well, help trainees, help them learn. And if it's good enough, management's going to let it become the standard, which is awesome. That'd be really good. So I can bring that into this interview, like, hey, I'm making this thing, really useful, helpful book, and since we're going to have like a dozen pure water operators when the plant gets finished being built, well, I can just build this right now, like, because that's what's interesting. They're hiring a supervisor right now when the plant is still 2-3 years away from finishing being built. So I get to be there from the ground up if I get hired as a supervisor. So there's the thing, like, I can make the book for the guys coming in, the guys and gals coming in, so they have a good transition learning the plant. That's one of the things I'm going to tell them. Another thing I'm going to tell them is, an idea that's way overselling, but it's totally doable in 3 years, is I could make a 3D model of the plant. Like a 3D digital model of the plant with all the details, with everything in there. And just go down the line on how I do it. Like, first I would do like a on paper version or a 2D model of it first. Like, here's the rooms, they're connected. Like, just do lines connecting them. Kind of like how you do with the Java applets. So just connecting, here's all the details in each place. And then you do the 3D version of that later. Because there's blueprints and stuff, but it's such a confusing mess. To have a 3D model of it all and also have layers on this model. So if I could have a layer for all the electronics, if I can have a layer for all the parts, all these things that I think is totally doable, then I think we can pull this off. Because I've seen things like that. So I know it's possible, I just need to actually figure out how to actually do it myself. And I think 3 years is enough time to do that, so that I can just do the entire plant, have all the pipework underground in this model, have just everything that we build be in this 3D digital model. I think it's totally doable. and it'll have that you can mouse over, and it'll give you the part numbers and all that stuff. That all seems conceivable to me. Why do I think it's conceivable? Because I've seen that. Because I've seen it done. I believe I can do it too. I just don't know what software I need. I'll have to figure that out. But here's the other thing. The other reason why to become supervisor is I can buy that software. Whatever software I need, I can buy it. And the city will pay for it. Because I ain't spending a dime of my own money for this. Are you kidding me? This is for city stuff, not for myself. At the same time, I would gain the skill of being able to make 3D models in digital. That'd be really cool. So I'm going to make that argument for the interview on Monday is like, hey, I can make this in 3 years. I can make us a 3D digital model of everything we have. Because here's the problem with the old plants at any place is you don't know where all the wires are anymore. Like, they were built like 50, 60 years ago. You don't know where all the pipes are. You know the blueprints. And you're just trusting those blueprints to an extent. Same thing goes for the wires. You're trusting that these are all correct. And were marked out correctly in the first place. But you don't truly know until you go back down there. Until you dig back down there. With this, in theory, everything's exactly where it is because we were there for it. We were there to document it. Because another layer on top is we can just take pictures of everything as it's getting built. So that we're very sure things are where they are. Because there's blueprints of everything. And by the way, these blueprints are like this thick and like arm length. Like they're very long. The blueprints for a plant are huge. They're just big. And it's just all the pipes, and it's all the wiring, it's all that stuff. And I want to make a 3D model of all that. And then try my best to make it, representative of correct size. So however many pixels would be this much distance and size and all that stuff. I'd want to make that all there. And have it layered. What I mean by layered is, like if you're familiar with art, where you'd have like the sketch layer and the lining layer, and there's all these different layers of things. So I have to here's the base layer, it's just the building, and then you turn on another layer, and here's the building with all the electronics. And then, so you can follow where things are. Like you can follow where the plugs go to the circuit board. Not circuit board, to the circuit breaker. Like, so you can follow things like that along. I want to be able to make that a thing. Or if I highlight this, it'll highlight that. And I know that's a thing you can make as well. There's a lot of bells and whistles that I want to put in this thing that I know can be done because I've seen them done. I just don't know how they're done yet. But I know they can be done. So that's what I'm going to do with this job interview. I'm just going to oversell, but things that I think I can do. That is the way of Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt was like, yeah, in an interview, you tell them you can do all that shit, and then immediately figure it out. Here's a why. Here's an actual why I want to explore for a moment. Why am I bad at job interviews? So, I just talked about this, right? I'm really bad at job interviews. And I don't know why. I think it's because of just being introverted, potentially. But let's explore this. Okay, so why am I bad at job interviews? At the last job interview for the supervisor, which I didn't get, because shenanigans happened, I was really nervous. My heart was pulsing. I was with 3 people that I knew. I was with my boss. I was with the superintendent of one of the other plants. Like my boss is superintendent, another one of the other superintendents, and the former supervisor who is now the senior of the wastewater, who I'm going to interview with again. It was those 3. I know these 3. Oh, the camera's fuzzy. I know these 3 people. I've met them. I've talked to them many times. But for some reason in an interview, I was nervous. Which is like, this is the worst one. Like, how can I possibly be nervous when I know these people? But I was. And just answered all the questions very quickly. I fumbled a little bit. And I was just very... the word to use here. I was very... just very short. Very quick. And very just like... and thing, and thing. Yep, that's it. Like, that's how I just answered every question. I was like, I just go down and then I would just kind of mumble the answer a bit, which wasn't great. I was like, why? People I know, too. Why was it like that? And I'm hoping to break that with this next interview. Because there's 2 more interviews coming up if I don't get this one. If I don't get this one, there's lead operator interview. And then there is the supervisor interviews again, because some shakeups are going to happen. So there's going to be supervisor interviews again. And I want to get better at this. I practiced the interview so many times and I was just so nervous. Why is that? I do not know. Mentally, I can't figure it out. It should have been I should have been very casual. I should have been able to easily do it. I don't know why I couldn't. I didn't break out of my shell until half an hour in when I was down to the end where you give your spiel, like I was saying earlier, where you're just like, here's all the things I can do. Because that was just, I already knew that part. I practiced that part for 2 months. So I guess that's why it went so well, because I practiced that part for 2 months. I don't know what they're going to ask in this interview. I've studied pure water as best I can. Pure water for the city is going to be 5 steps. It's going to start with ozonation, and then it's going to be biological activated carbon, and then it's going to be microfiltration, then it's going to be reverse osmosis, and then it's going to be UV light with AOP. I don't remember what AOP stands for. I think it probably has to do with peroxide. We're going to do all that stuff to purify this water from reclaimed water. And I've done my best to study all this stuff. And there's a lot of information to know. It's very fascinating to know as well. But I've gone over it. I don't know the regs, though. So if they ask regulatory questions, I might be in trouble there. If they ask management questions, I can answer them to the best I can. See, the problem is... So I'm trying to go for these management jobs when I don't necessarily want them, but I'm going for them because... 2 reasons. Also, why am I going for management? Let's ask that question as well. Because I think we already answered the question of why am I bad at interviews. I'm just bad at interviews because I get nervous. Yeah, there you go. Why I'm bad at interviews? Because I get nervous and I'm not, you just don't know. You're dealing with stuff that you just don't see coming and you're not as prepared as you can be. You can prepare as best you can, but there's only so prepared you can be. And so it makes me nervous. So another question, why am I going for supervision? Why am I going for management positions? One is they're there. The other one is peer pressure to always climb up. That's another reason. And the third reason is, just so I don't do graves anymore, I suppose. So I don't do as much overtime anymore. The pay increase would be like a $8 increase. That's not a bad pay increase at all. It's a really nice pay increase. Of course, that's a lot of money. But I wouldn't be doing overtime, which overtime makes me a lot of money anyway. I think what it does is just makes so I don't have to take overtime, necessarily. I think that's the way that works. So I spend more time not doing overtime, and also not doing graves. But usually if management has to do overtime, it would be doing graves. So might happen. Still, not doing graves. But I don't really want it either, because I don't want, the idea man side of management. I'm like, I got all these ideas to help the plant be better. I like that part. But it's the personnel part I'm scared of. Because I can't just pal around like I can as an employee. Because essentially it's like that whole, what was it, the Band of Brothers, like, you don't play poker with your subordinates kind of thing. You're taking the money from them and all that stuff, but I can pal around as a supervisor and all this stuff, but I can't, there's certain things I can't hear. Like if they say, like, you shouldn't have said that to me since I'm managing, I gotta do my job kind of thing. Like, that's the thing. It's like being around a cop. You can't say certain things around a cop. It'd be the same thing with a supervisor. You can't say certain things around a supervisor. You can't do certain things around a supervisor. And if they do, then I have to drop the hammer on them, which is very unfortunate. I think I'm still trying to figure out what the hell kind of mindset I can do. It's just like, hey, we're all pals and everything, but if I have to do my job, I have to do my job. I think the best way I can put it is, if I have to do my job, I have to do my job. Don't make me do my job. And that, the disciplinary side of the job. And I'm hoping that the best thing I can do is, if I get this, I believe I'm going to get it. Eventually, at some point, I'm going to get supervision, but whenever that is, I'm hoping that I can make it clear. It's like, look, we can be very friendly, we can have a lot of fun at the job. Just, of course, do your job. And don't make me be, I guess, a parent. Don't make me do the disciplinary side of the job. Please don't ever put me in that position. Because if I do, I have to do my job, and then we might not be on good terms after that. And I don't want that. I'm absolutely scared of that. I'm not going to tell them that part, but I am scared of that. Like, I do not want that. There are certain managers who are just risk adverse. They're just scared of dealing with people, and they're scared of arguments. Now, that's not what I'm necessarily looking for. I'm not trying to be just I'm scared of arguments. I'm just, you can argue, you can disagree, and all these things, but what is important to me is camaraderie, understanding the job and getting the job done, and getting the job done smoothly. Don't have to do it with a smile, but just gotta do it like where we're not hating each other. That's the one thing I don't want, is I do not want hate at work. I have done as much as I can as an employee to cultivate that on the employee side of things, where we're all having fun. So I buy donuts for work. I just do things for work to just make it smoother and nicer. I do nice things for my coworkers because I just like it to be smooth. I do nice things for management, so things are just smooth. I just like it that way because I am spending a third of my life with these people. Spending a third of my life every day with these people. I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be miserable. So I do my best to do that. And I want to keep doing that as a manager as well. And all I can do is just make it clear. Don't make me be the bad guy. If you're pulling some BS, you know you're pulling some BS, you shouldn't be mad at me. Kind of thing. But we'll see if I ever figure out how to say that correctly. Maybe I'll even say that in the interview, like, hey, this is the kind of manager I want to be. I want to be the one they can come to. Something's wrong, something's up, I want to be the one they can come to. But I also have to make sure they understand that if it's something legal or something disciplinary, I still got to do something about that. By the way, that's in the classes for like sexual harassment. Because people are like, can I tell you something off the record? Or something confidential. No, not off the record. Can I tell you something in confidence? Is a question that can be asked. And you have to say in management that, you can tell me a lot of things, but if it's something legally an issue or like sexual harassment or whatever, I have to go to HR about that. Like, if they tell me that someone has been stalking them, whatever, I have to go to HR. Like, please don't tell anyone. Like, I have to tell somebody because if something happens and now I know I'm culpable. Like, my hands are tied now that I'm in an authority position. That I have to do certain things. And I feel like it's the same thing with cops. Like, you can't tell a cop you're doing some illegal activity because they are required to do something about that. They're a cop. It's like telling a fireman that you're the one who just lit a fire and you caused like a forest fire. Someone's like, they got to do something about that. They can't just let that go. So why am I bad at interviews? Let's summarize both of these. Why am I bad at interviews? I'm bad at interviews because it's just a tight space. You're getting grilled. I'm never good at being grilled and just being one-on-one this is 3-on-1, by the way. It's 3-on. Just being in a tight space with people and they're coming at me for things and I have to give it to them. It's a nervous situation. That's why I'm bad at interviews. Why am I going for management? Because peer pressure for one, because you're expected to climb the ladder, because the position is there, because the money's good, and because the hours would be nicer. Especially with my back and everything. By the way, I've been giving it some real thought real quick before I end this thing. When it comes to my weight, I have been hovering at 90 pounds, 190 pounds for about 4 or 5 months. I have not been able to break out of that. Not been able to get lower, and that's bugging me a lot. And people are like, well, you can do keto or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to do keto because keto doesn't seem healthy. What's dumb is the alternative I'm thinking is just go lipo. But that can't be healthy either. I think I have to just stay the course and eventually I'll lose more weight. I don't know. The reason why I'm considering lipo is just because, just weight loss. Surgery. Considering getting some fat cut out or pumped out so that I have less weight on my back sooner. I've got at least 20, 30 pounds of fat on me. I think I'm overestimating that I can remove, but I got this belly, so I think I have some fat I can remove here. So there's less weight on my back. The sooner I have less weight on my back, the better it will be for my back. I don't know what to think of my fat right now, because there's an Asian dude I know. He's doing jujitsu, he's doing all this stuff, he's really healthy and everything. He's got abs. He is built very nicely. And his muscle's just a bit thicker than mine. But he's only 7 pounds lighter than me. And muscle is heavier than fat. And I look a lot bigger than him, and we're the same size. We're like the same height. So I'm confused. Well, one is, okay, yeah, so since we're the same height, he does have a lot of muscle, that's good. But I don't know, I'm confused. He's like, he's 185. Okay, so 5 pounds. I'm 190. I've got plenty of fat on me. So maybe I have a lot more fat than I realized, because he's got a lot of muscle on him. He's very lean. So he's got a ton of muscle. He's very lean then. So that just shows like, yeah, I can still be that way, just have a lot of muscle and be lean. I don't completely want this job, by the way, because the plant is in the middle of one of the worst traffic zones possible. But at the same time, I guess the money would cancel that out too, and also just the opportunity to do some cool stuff as well. I would suffer, but I'd also be having fun. So, still, put your best foot forward. Interview well as best you can. And at least they'll remember you for the future, because maybe, you know, I end up wanting to go to that pure water plant in the future anyway. For whatever reason. Well, that's it. That's the vlog. I have fun if I'm watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.